Welcome back to the Comm podcast. It's episode 14. I am BBKDRAGOON, joined as always by the awesome, the amazing Epos Vox. How are you doing today, Epos?
I am doing pretty solid. I am so stoked to be back. It's been a little while, and I just caught from one of your other videos, we are coming up on the 1 year mark, which is crazy.
Right? That's what I can't believe is, there's a gallon of milk in the fridge that says the expiration date is November 1st. And I'm like, whoa, we are back. And so huge thanks to everybody who supported the show and listened to it, giving us the freedom to have a lot of scheduling flexibility. Thanks for being patient. Life has been absurd and crazy, and that's why it's been long, about a month and a half, I guess, since our last episode. But I am so excited. I've really not looked too closely at the show notes, and it's your turn this week for a secret surprise topic. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah. It's going to be fun, and I'm stoked for us. We are coming up on the year mark, and it's episode 14, which means we've at least done one per month. We've had some big gaps, but we've at least hit the monthly mark.
Yep, exactly.
Which is exciting.
2 a month is like the best if we can, but it's always tricky. So
yeah, we got some cool stuff today. We got some personal intentionality based topics as well as some Nintendo things to talk about in a little bit, but. Should I just lead with my surprise thing? Because admittedly you've kind of spoiled it in the past few days, which I did not expect.
Oh, I don't. But
that's what happens when I hold out on it for like a month.
We have one topic we have to talk about first. The viewer comment about Dark Souls that is probably like a month and a half old. So Organization 136458 left a comment with a topic suggestion many moons ago, and we didn't cover it in the last dual comm. It just slipped my brain. But let's hit on that first, then do the surprise topic, if that sounds good.
Absolutely. Comment says, hey, great video as always. I mentioned wanting to see a segment on your podcast about how to deal with the frustration of a Souls game and how you guys got over that to really enjoy the game, which is very funny if you're talking to me, but we'll proceed for a moment here. And you said it would be a great idea, and I'll see it in the next one. And of course, we did not get to it. And then we did not get to it again, but we are getting to it now. That was a while ago, and I was wondering if maybe you can try to squeeze that into the next one. Love your podcast regardless. Can't wait for the next one.
Yep. Thank you very much, Organization 13. I'm excited to talk about this with you because we have both sort of angles of the Souls experience.
Yeah, we have very
Why don't we start there? You tell me your Souls story, and then I'll tell you mine, and then we can talk about this challenging, frustrating game lifestyle. Because I won't lie, I don't always like Dark Souls, and I loved it for a very good period of time, but it's complicated. So what's your story?
So I shared a few episodes ago when we were talking about all the PS3 memories. I picked up Demon Souls from GameStop for the PS3 and got a warning from the guy at GameStop and was just like, you're not going to like this. It's going to be hard. And I'm just like, no, I've seen someone play it. It's fine. It's a fantasy game. I need more Skyrim. And then returned it the next day. It was, I think as embarrassing as it is to admit, I'm pretty sure what I just got hung up on was that first, the literal first boss you encounter that's supposed to introduce you to the dying mechanic, and I'm like, I can't kill it. I just keep dying. This is stupid. And then I return the game. I've since learned that that's an obvious intentional mechanic, but I was a dumb college student who had not gotten good. And then moved on to Bloodborne, played a good few hours of it, but kept getting stuck at a certain point. I've come to fall in love with the non-From Software games in the Souls-like genre, Soulsborne-like, whatever you want to call it. So I picked up in 2018, Neo, the samurai one, and played it on stream when I was streaming a bunch and loved it a ton. I've played a bunch of Ghost of Tsushima. A few of those style games I've really come to love, and that's allowed me to kind of go back and have a greater appreciation for the original games. I still haven't played through them a ton. I'm really hoping, I know I picked it up and even talked about it on the show. I'm really hoping my Thanksgiving break phase game is going to be Elden Ring this year.
Oh man, you can't go wrong with that.
But I am someone who hit that. Yeah, but I am someone who hit that wall of frustration and didn't get over it for a very long time.
Yeah. Okay, so a long time ago, 2012, I want to say maybe 2013.
Oh, my back hurts.
Yeah, for real. I was on a Halo podcast called The Viewpoint with an awesome group of people. And one of the folks on that show was Toast Bomb. And he is a super legendary old school Halo YouTuber. He works in game dev now. I am continually like spying on his Steam wish list because he's like the ultimate curator. He's the one who introduced me to Pseudo Regalia. I think I'm trying to remember what else. That mini shoot adventures game. A lot of the indies that I've shown on the channel, he's recommended. So
Yeah.
way back in 2012, 2013, he was excited that Dark Souls 2 was coming out. And I remember he started talking about it. And this is long before Souls had blown up because Souls is super mainstream now. Like it is
Yes.
extremely popular. There was a diehard niche group of people who got it, who enjoyed Demon Souls and Dark Souls and like Prepare to Die edition, but it was not mainstream. And I think it made it even cooler, just like when, you know, your favorite band isn't discovered yet and you know they're like super good.
Yeah.
And I got Prepare to Die edition and I started playing it on stream. And this is at the end of college. It was unbelievably fun. It was so good. It was so hard. And there was just a huge group of people who came into the chat who were excited to watch my first playthrough, to watch me discover all the stuff, all of the things that they had gone through, all of the trials, the tribulations, the celebrations, like laughing at me when I got to Blighttown, you know, rejoicing when I kicked the ladder down. Just some of those like legendary moments. So I beat Prepare to Die edition. Then I got Dark Souls 2 on the 360 and it clicked. And I ripped through Dark Souls 2, immediately started a second playthrough. I started multiplayer PvPing. And since I was a few years late to all of it, the Scholar of the First Sin edition, which is kind of like the director's cut version of Dark Souls 2, came out for Xbox One. I made a review of that. I played through it. I loved it. And so for I want to say about a year and a half, I was super locked into Souls. I thought it was incredible. I loved it. Got Dark Souls 3, got pretty far, didn't end up beating it. I wasn't as into that one. Bloodborne's never really been something I've gone through. I've probably played the first 4 or 5 hours. I can recognize it's a masterpiece, but also can say artwork-wise, it just doesn't resonate with me. And then there's Elden Ring. And Elden Ring, I got decently far through on the Xbox One X, but I mean, that thing it runs like Chunder Muffin on that. It's pretty rough. I want to say I got 3/4 of the way through it on Xbox, not looking anything up, going in blind, no guides. And it was fun, but I felt overwhelmed with just the sheer amount of stuff you could do. And then finally last summer, right before Shadow of the Erd Tree came out, I bought it on PC. I played through the whole thing, went through Shadow of the Erd Tree, beat all the bosses. Freaking loved it. But here's like my takeaway from all of the Soul stuff. I don't have a strong desire to play anything Souls related right now until like an Elden Ring 2 or a new title, because there are moments where I love that ultra tough, rewarding gameplay. But most of the time when I'm tired, I just can't stand it. Like I'm just over it. I'm at a different age now where I don't have the tolerance or the time to bash my head against the wall. And it's all like personal skill. I get it. Get good. Learn the pattern, dodge roll. And I'm a melee player. I've never played a single magic build ever. I love dodge roll melee builds. And so for the frustration part, I want your take on this e-post because I'm going to hold off my thoughts for a second.
Okay. So I've been someone who's always been kind of behind on gaming when it comes to that kind of get good thing. I was always I had a buddy I grew up with who was always the one to beat the weird stuff. Like I watched him play through Metal Gear games. I don't know why I said Metal Gear weirdly that way. Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Watched him play through a lot of Dark Souls. He was the guy who, when we played Destiny all the time, he'd be like, I'd get home from college and he'd already be just like sitting behind Crota in Destiny, just like having soloed the raid like 5 times, just waiting on me. Like he was the strategy guy, and I was the one who just wanted to run in and like in a melee focused game, like as long as I could outpace the attacks, why would I dodge? Why would I block? Whatever. And so when I encountered a game that like mandates that you do this, I was just like, oh, that doesn't feel good. And so it's taken until kind of this phase of my life where like I kind of can pick up on the patterns better. I can have the patience, which is really what it's about. It's about the mindset and the patience. I can sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to do this today, and then actually have the right headspace for it. When I picked up Demon Souls or even the first Dark Souls, I've 1 and 2 physical on PC, I'm pretty sure. I got the collector's edition statue with 2, I believe. So I still have the statue out here. I wanted to be in it. I was like stoked. I loved the idea of the games. We honestly did not have that many fantasy games at the time. And so like I wanted to be there. But when I got home from college all day and was exhausted and tried jumping in, it was like, this sucks. Like I just want to go play Halo or COD 4 or whatever and like not think. I want just mindless gaming stuff. And we hadn't obviously understood all the feelings things about gaming yet. And so to me, that rang, and I think a lot of the discourse around these games plays to that too. Like it rang as an incompatibility. Like, oh, this game just isn't for me because I don't appreciate the challenge or I can't get good or whatever. But really, my gaming time was when I was in the least advantageous position to really grasp all these things. My reaction times are going to be poor. My patience to study patterns and whatever is not going to be there. And so for me, it's kind of about, I mean, I hate to use this word already as soon as we start the podcast, but being intentional about when you play certain games. When I am dead tired, when I'm done working all day and the kiddos had a rough day and whatever, like I am pulling up Pokemon or Stardew or Minecraft, or probably not because I've been playing that with a kid, but like something easy, cozy, casual, not a hardcore multiplayer or a Souls game. But then when I have like a free weekend and I'm like, I want high octane, like intense gaming, I want to be good, I want to feel the challenge and overcome it, that's when I'm going to pull out a Souls game.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I can share a similar story where I was obsessed with StarCraft 2 in college, as you know. Like Halo was coming off the MLG circuit. I never played competitive RTS stuff, and I wanted to play in the Collegiate Star League. You had to hit Diamond to do so. And so I laddered and I practiced and went from an idiot bronze player all the way up to platinum, and I got hard stuck in platinum most of my time in college. And literally 3 weeks after graduating, I hit Diamond. And I stopped playing StarCraft 2 because it was so stressful. And at the time, it was like, I need to focus on getting good grades, passing, getting out of college, being done with this. And it was tough. And I recognized that final year of school, hey, I can't play stressful games right now. I can't play this stuff that requires this level of focus. I'm not saying Dark Souls is the same, because to be honest, there are builds that make all of them fairly trivial. Like Elden Ring, there are so many builds, especially if you go the magic route, where you can just nuke through that game without even trying. It's kind of like choose your own difficulty, which is kind of nice. But same thing, like if you're looking up on any of the Souls games, there's plenty of ways to make it pretty easy. And for me, like a sword and board player, you learn quickly how to circle strafe, how to backstab, how to dodge. It gets progressively different as you go throughout the series. Like in Elden Ring, they are just pure. From Bloodborne onward, they get pretty mean with some of the delay timings of the boss, where like they absolutely know when you're going to spam dodge roll. They wait that extra second, they fake you out, and they just... Lurker Zero, one of the other good friends of the show, I think he's sometimes has said like they got cruel with some of their design.
Yeah.
Some of the ultra tough bosses and gimmicky and stuff. But I want to take it back to the fun side. Souls games and really tough, challenging games or whatever, there is a deep satisfaction if you enjoy the grind, the discipline, and that reward. So it's not the same intrinsic fun that you would get from a game like Astrobot, which is literally like, pick it up, play it. It's super fun. Controller
Collect
rumbles.
the shiny things.
Yeah, it's so just great. And a lot of times as I'm getting older, I just prefer that. Every once in a while now, yeah, let's put on the gamer hat. Let's go beat the tough game. But these are all pretty arbitrary. Like with Elden Ring, if somebody beat the game and used a really easy build, it's a very different experience than somebody who's like, yeah, I know hit completely level 1 naked build or whatever. So
yeah.
What do you think on the fun side of it? Like, what's the recommendation to wrap it up?
I mean, the big thing is just to make sure you are having fun with it. Like something that threw kind of a red flag for me with comments like this is the framing is, how do I get over the frustration to enjoy it? And
yeah,
my question then is, are you enjoying it? or are you only having frustration? Because if you're only just frustrated by it, you may not end up enjoying it. And I don't want you to necessarily just flat out write it off, but like if it's not fun up front, because at least everyone that I've played, like they start you off with some easy skeletons and whatever. Like you can at least kill a couple things without a challenge. If that flow doesn't seem fun to you, it's not going to get more fun if you get good. It's just going to be a chore or a job. We've talked about this with some other games. Like it's the same thing with a job. Like you may be able to go work doing X, Y, or Z, but if you can't imagine yourself having fun doing that day in and day out, then the job itself is not going to be fun, even if you make it to some high tier like position with it. With the game, you could beat the whole game and never have fun. Getting good does not necessarily equal having fun. And so I'm not here to tell you whether you're having fun or not, but I just want to know for you. I want you to, it's a rhetorical question, but reflect in yourself. Do you see yourself having fun with it, or are you just stuck and frustrated and want to have beaten it because you feel obligated to, either because you bought it or because it's the gamer thing to do or whatever? Because I think I've really enjoyed the Souls franchise and genre by only waiting in it as much as, like, as deep as I was comfortable doing in a given moment. So, like, some of the games I've only played a couple hours of, and I'm like, yep, that's really hard. I may come back when I'm in a better mindset, but otherwise, like, I got it, and I watched some videos on it, and like I said, I watched my buddy play through a lot of it, like, on the couch together, so, like, that was cool. And then I can pick up other ones, and I can use what I learn about the other games to influence or inform what new Souls games I will enjoy, but I don't have to beat them to enjoy them to their max. Like, bashing my head against the wall for another 10 hours, hoping to make it further in the game and beat it, does not necessarily increase the amount of fun I will get from the franchise, and it may ruin it if I just truly get burned out.
Yeah. I didn't talk about it at all, but last May, right before Elden Ring, I bought Dark Souls Remastered on the Switch because I just wanted to play through that experience again on a handheld environment. And I probably hit credits.
Sound like a fun version.
Yeah.
Sorry,
it's actually not bad. It's honestly not that bad, truly. Prepare to Die edition with a bunch of mods is like decent-ish on PC, and I wasn't about to like buy the remastered on PC or whatever. But
right.
I got all the way to Ornstein and Smo, who is it's like a rite of passage boss. It's a very big turning point in the game, and after you beat ONS, the game devolves into like beating the 4 Lords of Cinder, and I'm not gonna lie, it's miserable. Like 3 of the 4 of those bosses just suck. It's not that fun to then finally finish off the rest of the game. So I just abandoned it. Once I got to ONS, like I had no issue. And then ONS is one of those bosses where the trick is it's 2 bosses fighting you at once. And so a lot of movement, getting around pillars, that kind of a thing. And it was white knuckle, difficult, so challenging the very first time I beat it, but I have zero interest in playing it again. I just lost that moment. And I think people need to be more okay with like, hey, play a game because it's fun. You don't have to beat it. Do you remember being a kid and you would come home after school and you'd be like, what game do I want to play? And you'd play for your 30 minutes. Did you really care if you beat it or not? Or did you care that you got to play something that was fun? And I think we need to normalize more play for fun. You don't need to beat everything and drop stuff when you're not having fun. And yeah, I think that's a good place to probably put a cap on that topic there.
Yeah, that's what I loved about demo discs was like there was no expectation of beating the game because you only had a small chunk of it. So you got to experience so many games, and if they were fun, you buy them or you just replay the demo over and over, and that was it.
So it's funny you mentioned that. I was thinking about it. There are some PlayStation games and even PS2 games that I put way more time into the demo than the actual full game, or like if I rented it or something. And thinking about that, I got to play like hour-long slices of tons of things. And as a kid, I would replay over and over and over again. The MGS1 demo that I had on a PS1 disc, you can only play through the first 2 areas, but I played in that open, snowy helipad with the hind area so many times because it was just a little fun sandbox. And as a kid, I understood the fun of playing the game, not trying to rush through it and get to the end.
Yeah. That's Medieval was one that I only played in the demo. My mom had this whole thing for only until I was about like 10 maybe, but she was a stickler that any thing that seemed mature-ish or too violent or scary, I had to wait until I was 12. And that ended up not holding up, but like for a few years there. And so I could not get Medieval, but I secretly had it on a demo disc.
Yes.
And so I only ever played the demo over and over.
It's so funny because that was similar. Like, I wasn't allowed Metal Gear Solid until I was much, much older.
Yeah.
And good on my parents, because like I wouldn't have understood any of that story. I was too little. But just if you're having fun, I think that's the main thing we've tried to talk about on this podcast, and like probably the theme of everything we talk about. Like, the goal for more meaningful choices and intentionality is literally just to like get more out of your day to day. And it's funny that this is like a cultural thing where I feel like across all verticals on YouTube, I see more and more people being like rediscovering stuff that really probably wasn't something we thought about 10 or 15 years. Cause I don't know why that transition happened, but maybe a future topic. So why don't we hop into the secret topic, man? I'm excited.
I'm going to lead into it with a quote from Sean Layden first. So, former PlayStation exec and one of my favorite guys to have been the face of a gaming console company, Sean Layden, was quoted as saying that he thinks we have plateaued on gaming tech, and that how many of us can really tell the difference, which I hate these quotes, but how many of us can really tell the difference between 90 frames per second and 120 frames per second, and that instead hardware companies should be finding ways to make it cheaper and simpler, like it used to be, where the console was the cheap entry into gaming and it was the simple entry, and now they're basically PCs. And I love that he's saying this. I also know that so many of these execs have wonderful takes about gaming after they leave the company, because then they're no longer responsible for the shareholder interests.
Yeah. Here's how I would have done it.
Yeah. So grain of salt with, like, you know, whether we need to keep people like him around necessary. Because I know Phil Spencer was everyone's hero until they realized not so much. So who knows? But I truly, like, we've seen that. Like, who has bought a PlayStation 5 Pro besides people making videos on differences of the PS5 Pro? Like, probably very few people. Yeah. It is not the rush like we had with PS4 Pro. It is not, we're not seeing console leaps. We're not seeing console jumps like we used to. And there are little things here and there that you look for. But I am saying now, and weirdly in the past month since I originally was stoked to come up with this thing to propose to you, I'm going to declare, it's become more commonplace to talk about, but I'm going to declare that Steam has won the console wars.
I won't argue with it. This has been on my... Yeah, this is totally, like, you are right thinking about the exact stuff I've been kind of obsessed with for the last month, so...
Yeah, it wasn't PlayStation, it wasn't Xbox, it wasn't Sega, it wasn't Atari, it wasn't even Nintendo. It was Steam, even though their original console launch was a complete failure. And I say that both because of the discussions you've been having on your channel for a good couple months now about the value of PC gaming and how it's kind of taken over and the value of the Steam Deck. We saw Nintendo really kind of stumble with Switch 2 with regards to trying to appeal to the Steam Deck crowd instead of just pretending that they don't have competition, which is kind of what they normally do. They normally just don't even acknowledge the other guys. And we really kind of felt like the Switch 2 announcement was looking over the shoulder a little too much at the Steam Deck. But there has been talk. Phil Spencer has been talking it up with the new Xbox about it being a more open PC platform and about getting Steam and Steam games on the next Xbox.
Yep.
And when you get Steam on every other platform, Steam is the one who won the console wars, because it's not every box is an Xbox. It's every box is a PC that also runs the console games.
Mm-hmm. But these companies have figured out you can make a lot of money by taking the walled garden down and putting your software on other places. Even Sony, who has killed it and just destroyed Xbox in the last generation and a half, you're even seeing massive sales for their games at a delay, right? They go to PC a little bit later, but you're seeing great sales over on
Yes.
Steam for those games. And um, I am sort of sad about like this homogenization. Is that the right word or what? I don't know. Like the
Yeah.
sameness now that of all the platforms, they're just like between Xbox and PlayStation. Um, what used to be a huge decision, like which console you pick to find the friend group you would spend time with the next 5 or 6 years, right?
Yeah.
Now it really doesn't matter. You could buy a Series X or you could get a PS5 and you're still going to play all of the multiplayer social games together with your friends. I do want to say, like, we should talk briefly. The Nintendo Direct went live this morning. You took some great
Yes.
notes, and I'm looking through a lot of the release. Like, there's some heavy hitters that they just announced.
It
Hyrule
is
Warriors, Metroid
the
Prime
most
4,
stacked like direct.
a new Fire Emblem, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, a new Pokemon game. I'm starting to see like Nintendo reemerge with some of their
Yes.
like, hey, our super joyful, unique software that's not going to come to third parties is probably going to make some of the Switch 2's shortcomings disappear.
Yes.
The more like a new Yoshi game that looks super sick, Mario Tennis. And I believe they came into Switch 2 a little early and were super reliant on third-party software like Cyberpunk and games that people, if you're an early adopter for Switch 2, I'm going to bet you've probably already dabbled or played a lot of the third-party
Right.
games, you know?
Yeah, that's what bugged me about it, because unless you've only ever like been owning Nintendo consoles, I cannot imagine, other than for the novelty of it, the prospect of playing Cyberpunk on the Switch, knowing the kind of hardware and the kind of experiences like The Witcher and whatever have gotten. I cannot imagine that it was that appealing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, like, if that was your console, then yeah, getting the game is great. But if you have options to play it anywhere else, it's hard to be like, here's our new console. And to sell it, we have 1, maybe 2 games and the worst version of a couple other games.
Yeah. And so I think Nintendo's still going to have their lane, is basically what I'm saying. You know,
Yes,
give
I
Switch
think they
2
have-
another year, and it's
Yeah.
going to have a library full of the stuff that makes me go, all right, I got to buy this. You know, I'm disappointed with the hardware. I'm disappointed with the pricing. They used to be the affordable entry point, but they're still kind of in their own lane. But when it comes to like PlayStation and Xbox, we are all just going to have different flavors of PCs. We're all going to play games that come out on the 3 platforms, and I think you are right. Steam at the end of the day, or essentially, they're just PC games. PC games have won. You're not going to have unique gimmicks anymore. Like, as cool as Astrobot and the DualSense is, how many other games actually use that controller to its full extent? Right?
Yeah.
And it makes me a little sad, dude, because I borrowed from a family member the Wii. I never had a Wii. Of course, I played Wii throughout those years. Like, friends had it. Or
Of course,
bowling
because
or
everyone
whatever.
had it. If you didn't have it, like, someone had it near you.
But it's so fun going back to consoles that had unique, creative flair to it and gimmicks. Even the PS3 and the Xbox 360 had such unique feelings. And now it's all just the same sort of Netflix box with the square tiles that does the same thing. And the only difference we're competing on is, you know, Switch is low settings, and then the other 2 are like medium settings on the game. That's it.
Yeah, it's sad, and it's weird because if you looked at it through a very like distorted lens, you could say it's almost our own fault for getting here, because some of the leaders of the change could be seen as crossplay and cross-save and lack of console exclusives. And those were things we wanted and asked for and demanded, and then we got them, and these are the consequences. But we have to not ignore many of the other decisions that led to this, such as the always online pushes, the Xbox's stumble to focus on TV, the blandification, as you brought up last episode, of everything, because that is still the advantage that Nintendo has, as Nintendo is a games company. They have some other things under their umbrella, but they're not part of some bigger conglomerate whose goals are everything except gaming, and gaming's basically a write-off. They are just the games company, and so their vibe and their personality and everything they put out still has to be fun and playful and gamery, Whereas Microsoft and PlayStation are just, or Xbox and PlayStation are just Microsoft and Sony corporate branding at this point, and it's not appealing to the quote unquote gamers isn't even a priority on their radar most of the time anymore. Whereas with Nintendo, that's all they got. They have to sell you on the Switch because that's keeping you buying their stuff. And there's some advantage to that even if we pushed away from exclusives and whatever, that we need to not forget. And I think that maybe speaks to the over what's the word? The condensing, the monopolization almost of these big companies where everyone's trying to absorb every branch of everything. But I miss it too. I actually just this morning watched a music video that was called Goodbye Computer. That was about that same kind of vibe, because you used to have the home computer and all your memories were there, all your old documents and pictures. And I still envy people who only just kind of had the one computer for certain phases of their life, and then they kept it in the attic or whatever, and they can go get the stuff off and have all these memories, because I so quickly went into the build your own customized computer rabbit hole that I don't have these like relics of what I remember like we do with the old consoles. And now computers are just tools. Like they're just a collection of parts that I will swap out and change and fix as I need to. And it's no longer the cohesive unit, and consoles are basically the same thing now. And I miss that. And I don't know how we get that back without giving up too much. There's a lot of things we talk about with regards to physical media and behaviors that we want to implement, where it's like, okay, we can claw some of this back by doing X, Y, or Z, or being more intentional about this. This kind of thing is entirely out of our control. We don't make the black boxes that sit and run Netflix style UIs. Like we didn't choose that. We're just stuck with it. So I don't really know what to do about it.
I think for me, I'm going to try and look on the bright side of it, because actually it's funny. Wolf Den on the Wolf Den podcast was just talking about this in one of their latest episodes. And it is pretty amazing that we can play pretty much any of our online games with each other on any system at any time. And that's what we wanted. Supremely rad. And there is some downside and bummer. Like I hated the console war stuff because it literally was, I bought this box, so inherently my box is better than your box.
Yes.
And it was just toxic and dumb. It was, look, I could not afford a PS3. I didn't get a PS3 until the very end of its life cycle. And it made me enjoy the PS3 so much. But I got a 360 to play Halo.
Yep.
If we were in this current era and there was crossplay and cross-gen and stuff, I don't think I would have given two rips. Like if Halo went to PlayStation, I could probably play with my PlayStation friends on Halo and stuff. So it would have changed things dramatically. It's just they've now realized, okay, maybe exclusives aren't the biggest play. I have been thinking pretty positively about the PlayStation 5. I got it last December. It was a big part of our discussions at the start of the show. I loved Astrobot. I loved the whole ecosystem, sitting on the couch, all those things. And I do believe if we were right now at a point where the PS5's library had double the amount of software for it that was just really solid, we would think about this generation completely differently. Like, I love a lot of the stuff about the PS5. The only bummer is they just stumbled and put way too many eggs in the live service basket and canceled a ton of games and have crazy long development timelines. If they had just been pushing out a bunch of like 3-year dev cycle fun single player games, I would view this generation completely differently. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, think about a 10-year dev cycle game in the context of console life cycles, which are about 6 to 8 years.
Yes.
That's insane to think about skipping an entire console, like, which has happened. That's absolutely happened. And of course, the backwards compatibility and cross release or whatever kind of influences, blurs that line a little bit these days. But like, that is bananas. We never would have had that before. And that like really skews your perspective of what you have available to play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, Sean Layden's talked about that. Like, where's AA, guys? You got to stop putting all your baskets in these gigantic, super massive, insanely expensive games. Like, the Spider-Mans are cool to have, but that cannot be Sony's bread and butter.
But didn't you hear GTA 6 is quintuple A.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, GTA 5 launched on the PS3.
That's how I own it. Like that is
GTA
my
6.
original is the PS3.
At this rate, I would not be surprised if GTA 6 was also a released to coincide with being a launch title with the PS6.
Yeah. Elder Scrolls is 14 years deep, right? Elder Scrolls 6, and
yes. Like, what? And so it's hard to feel attached to these things when they kind of are much more fleeting than the games we played on them. Like, I used to roll my eyes a bit at the whole like golden era of gaming thing with the 360 and whatever, because for me, a lot of it went in a blur with multiplayer. Like I was so invested in Halo, and I have such big stacks of games for like PS1 and PS2. I'm like, these are much bigger libraries. But like the formative years combined with, there was like an anchoring to it. Like if you played Halo in the Xbox days, like you were anchored to the Xbox 360 in that time because of that. And the PS3 became, even if you grew up playing the PS1 and PS2, you jumped over to Xbox for Halo. And then the PS3 became this box that you hoped you got to play Demon's Souls or Metal Gear or something, God of War, and not the default box. And yeah, growing up, like I 100% would have loved if we had crossplay and games releasing on both. I hated that my best bud in real life had a PS3 instead of an Xbox, so whenever he played Call of Duty, I couldn't play with him.
Yep. And
then I was trying to convince my parents to buy me a PS3 so that I could play the same game that I'm already playing on Xbox. The value proposition is there. And then of course that skews their perspective of how many games I'm playing at all. If I'm playing so many games, I've played all this console has to offer and I need a whole other console. Like,
yeah, it's, I rolled 3 new characters on PS4 Destiny. And that was just to play with a different group of clanmates for Destiny the show. And there's a lot of positives, but we lose out on one of the really cool things, which is consoles having a unique gimmick, unique flair, and honestly, unique tech. I get it. It's going to be easier to develop for stuff that's all basically a PC. I totally understand. PS3 was a nightmare to develop for. But if you go and you look at Metal Gear Solid 4, and some of the games that really utilized its unique architecture, there's no PC games that look really like a PlayStation 3 game. Like it has a look. The guys and gals who mastered the techniques for building on that system, it has its own unique flair. And yes, that will go away. But I do think a large part of this is we're emerging out of a funny cave. And I think the industry is starting to see a different light for the first time. Come mid 2015, the money starts going up. Fortnite changes everything. Live service changes everything. And all of a sudden, it's not a doubling or a tripling in revenue. It is an exponential hockey line. It's a straight vertical up. Yeah. And everybody and their brother's like, oh my gosh, we have to chase this. Then comes the pandemic. And you have a whole new install base. And you have so many people spending and playing. And that hockey line goes even further up. And since these live service games, and like you said, some of these development timetables from pitch to approval to development time, you're looking at 7 to 10 years. Everybody's chasing that vertical line. Everybody wants that money. Everybody says this is the new paradigm. And all the results are coming in the last 2 or 3 years. Oh, you can't have 25 live service successful games on the market at once. There's only the install base for these things, there's only ever going to be 3 or 4 of the big ones. So putting all your eggs in that basket, I bet these companies have lost a truckload of cash chasing that. And so it's going to take a while to recalibrate the Expedition 33s, the Silk Songs, the Baldur's Gate 3s, the list of great kind of double A-ish, also triple A-ish with some of the budgets and the timelines, but the games that have been prioritizing the experiences that we've been told don't sell, that don't do well, that players don't want. And clearly, you look at the Game of the Year list for this year at the Game Awards, I don't know how it's not an Expedition 33 or something like that. And hopefully that sends some waves.
I wish we could, and this is impossible scenario, but I wish we could change things so that the game companies were ran more by people who cared about gaming. Because as you're describing this, and this is a very obvious thing, but had never clicked before, did you ever have that friend in school that played World of Warcraft and maybe Diablo, and like that was their game?
Yes.
That was kind of the first live servicey game, early MMOs. And every friend I had that like hardcore World of Warcraft, that is basically all they played.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the guy who got me into Halo, the one I would go to his house and multiplayer split screen with him, one of my best friends, he got into Vanilla WoW near the end, and then the Burning Crusade. He was uploading friggin' PvP open world montage things onto YouTube in the earliest of days. And he was an 11-hour-a-day kind of player.
Yeah.
Like his parents didn't put any sort of restrictions on it. And so like literally in my friend group, it was like, oh, we're worried about him. Yeah, he played a lot of that. I was just jealous. I'm like, that sounds amazing. Did you see his mage? It's so sick. He got an undead mage. And but yes, he stopped playing Halo. He stopped playing everything. Yeah. That was his life.
And like, that's so, anyone who had that friend knows, like, you don't have 5-10 of those games running at once. You just have the one, and there's not enough room for every game to turn into that. And it's very hilarious. As just a side note, I want to make a serious deep cut reference that you're probably not even going to remember. But since you had a friend that went from Halo to WoW, there is a music video from back in the day from a guy called James at War. It was a parody of Blame It On Me called Blame Halo 3.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Yes.
He's talking about like missing his childbirth and all that stuff because he was playing Halo 3. And then it ends with the buddy being like, oh, but have you heard of World of Warcraft? No, what's that? Dude.
Oh, it's bad. Well, so where do we go from here, basically? Because I think there's the positive, the negative, and then I hope the feedback is heard. Games like Astrobot are sick. I hope we keep getting them to some degree.
Yeah. I think a lot of it comes to really embracing the good games that we get. And when it comes to the personality we've lost from the consoles themselves, I think we have to make up with that with our own rituals. And this is going to sound super hoopty-doopty whatever, but like when you had a computer back in the 90s or early 2000s, you had a you often had the computer room or the corner for the computer. Using the computer and connecting to the internet, especially with dial-up, was this ritual. It was this process. It was this special event. It wasn't this default thing that was like thrust upon you all the time. It was a thing you sought to do, and every moment you had with it was precious in some way because it was this special series of events you took to make it happen. And the same thing with consoles and like our PCs having those precious memories. It was this special thing with its own unique vibes and like world within it that we really just, it was this special thing to boot up your PS1, your PS2, your Xbox 360, whatever, after school. It was this whole ritual and process. And I think we just have to introduce that to ourselves in some way with regards to our gaming, and be that there are a lot of options for that. You can stream, make a YouTube channel like we have, like our YouTube channel backlogs, the memories we get to look back on those things are those kinds of memory preservations for us. That is a super unique thing for us to have and hold about basically our life history, going back a stupid long time. If you don't want to make things in that way, you could curate your own screenshot albums. You could use Backlogged to log your games as you play them and write little reviews. And you can add into your reviews like notes to yourself about what's going on in your life, or just the act of tracking the dates themselves can help you remember in hindsight. Like there are ways that you can still turn your gaming experience into this kind of preserved ritual that is not going to stay anchored to that console, unfortunately, but will still keep them tied to you in a way that I think is very important. And it's a completely personal thing. Like whether you want to do it at all, what that looks like, how it fits into your life is something you have to evaluate. But I think doing something to make it a more intentional thing that you then remember in a different way is huge.
Yeah. I want to ask a question that I've been thinking about a bunch because I am a little nostalgic right now, thinking about, well, what platform and how do I want to play games? And when we started the show last December, I was so in love with sitting on the couch with wireless headsets playing the PlayStation 5. And I had basically said, I think this is going to be my main platform moving forward. Fast forward, console prices get a bump, games are getting more expensive. I've always loved PC. I love the freedom that Steam provides you, the fact that the library comes with you forever. You're not paying for upgrades. There's so many benefits. But I flip-flop where I don't know what ecosystem I really want to lean into, what I want to play on. I've mainly the last 2 months been playing Switch. I kind of issued a challenge of like, hey, I've desired a Steam Deck, but I've got a handheld right here that plays basically all the indies and the stuff I would play on a Steam Deck. So why don't I just play that? And I've loved it. It's been really nice to just sit on the Switch and play. I don't give really a rip about the worst performance or visuals because I'm playing most games for the gameplay itself. But if you were to think about your main platform with the conversation we just had, moving forward, where do you think you would play? Like, what do you prioritize? What kind of experience do you want? And my main reason I think I fall in and out of enjoyment with the PC is I spend all day with my real job at a desk and a computer. And yes, I've got a budget PC hooked up to the TV, but it's still kind of a pain compared to a console. And so I'm just, as much as I love the PC for what we do with YouTube, the ease of recording, all that stuff, part of me wishes I just had one console and just that was the ecosystem. And there was no choice or analysis paralysis. I just existed on that spot.
Yeah. The analysis paralysis is super big. And that's just an access thing. Like, we have everything now, so it's harder to be like, do I want to play this version on this console or this version on this console instead of being happy with it? But you do highlight kind of why so many of us don't have that attachment to our systems anymore. And that's because we're bouncing back and forth. We have all of them or multiple of them, and we are playing the same thing across different systems. Like, I only realized this past year how much nostalgia I have for my PlayStation 4. Now, I primarily hold nostalgia for the original PS4, which I don't even have right now. I gave it to my dad a while back, and I bought him a PS5, but he still has the PS4 at the moment, and it feels weird to ask for it back, even though at some point I want it back.
Yeah.
But booting up the PS4 Pro that we have in our family room, because my wife and I started playing through Horizon Zero Dawn a couple months back, and we're still just, we're picking up every stick and leaf and medicine thing. So we're taking our sweet time.
Mm-hmm.
We're like level 20 now, so we're like halfway. But listening to, I got a custom theme with like the cat with the laser eyes, and it plays like techno music and whatever. But like, I sat on that dashboard waiting for friends to join Rocket League or Destiny for hours after college. Like, I'd just pull it up and open up a party chat or whatever and wait for that. And while it's not as nostalgic and like formative as the Xbox 360 days and leaving the Halo music on and everything, I've come to realize there is some nostalgia there for a box that otherwise I felt no attachment to because of the things we described. But that's because all of my friends at the time, even though I was really trying to push for PC, all my friends at the time were still on console. They hadn't switched over to PC yet, and Destiny wasn't on PC yet. And that was still able to be developed. So I'm willing to bet that some people who only have a console are able to feel that still. I will say, to answer your question directly, if I'm giving my gut answer, no overanalysis, it would be PlayStation 5. Like, hands down, pretty solid library, is getting Xbox games now. Like, Gears of War and Halo coming to PlayStation is insane. You're getting those games. To me, it is by far the better of the two consoles of its model, like the Series X versus the PS5. And you get all the cool exclusives like Astrobot. You get the cool features of the DualSense, which is just a better controller on every level, and a better system that just, to me, it's still fun. It is hard for me to stay in the PS5 because I want to also then run and go play PC games or whatever. I don't feel as attached to it because I also have it at my desk. I have it at my desk next to my big computer monitor. And so when I'm choosing a game, it's a little more friction to boot up the PS5, probably have updates because I didn't boot it up recently and whatever, versus clicking Steam and it's already there. But I think if you are in a vacuum or you just don't have access to anything right now and you're like, what do I jump into to just have as my platform? PS5 100%. I am a PC guy. I have been my entire life a PC guy, and I would love to advocate for that, but I do struggle with the similar things of yours. Like right now, other than Horizon with my wife, I haven't been gaming that much, despite the fact that I am at a computer more than I would like to admit, both for work and for when I have time to myself, which is not often with a kid now. But like I am at a computer, but it is that same vibe like you talked about. Like this is where I work. This is where I make stuff. This is where I correspond with other people. It is not a lockdown gaming box. And so it is harder to be kind of in the flow state with it. If I'm having other windows pulled up or watching videos or whatever, it's not the same thing. Whereas PS5 loaded up with some good games on a TV, you are set.
Yeah. And a big reason we have PCs, right, is for video production and professional stuff. Like the majority of the time I spend on a PC is not for gaming. It's nice that there's overlap, like a good gaming PC. Sorry, being sick for 3 weeks has destroyed my throat. It's nice that a good gaming PC spec sheet is great for video editing as well. There are so many benefits for all these things, and it's a total first world problem, but it is something I think about because, as you mentioned, I really haven't been playing anything over the last month other than a couple things here and there. You know, we had to do a big road trip. There's like a family illness, and so I took the old 2DS that I have, and that was super fun to just play some Game Boy games and only put 20 or 30 minutes into things here and there. But on PC, I'm always overwhelmed with Steam in terms of there's so much, which is amazing, but there's also so much just unfinished crap. And I spend a lot of time looking through wish lists and demos and trying stuff. But a lot of those games I'm just not that into. And as I'm getting older, I'm not that into. And we should revisit this topic maybe in 3 or 4 months because I am definitely at a point where I'm rethinking how gaming fits in my life. It will always be something I enjoy.
Yeah.
But I have now gone through this pretty big transformation of last year. I quit multiplayer gaming. That was amazing. And I've just knocked off so many single player games and I've loved it. But right now, I think I want to do more other hobbies. To kind of like, I'm flirting with the fact that there's nothing I really want to play all that much right now. And I'd rather go play piano or go take pictures, enjoy the fall, do something to recharge until we get back to some maybe new releases or stuff that sounds really fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's super healthy and how it should be. And I think more people should do that. I'm kind of in the opposite space in that I've been so pulled away from being able to play games that I'm like, I can't wait until I feel like I'm in the mind space to sit down and play. But a lot of that, again, is headspace. Like it is, I sit down at a computer and why would I launch a game when I could be writing video scripts because I haven't had a whole lot of work time or making art or catching up on shows or YouTube videos. Like there's so many options. And I really always come back to, I wish it were easier for us to just keep I'm going to use the word again, but the ritual of physical media around, because this is a problem I've struggled with since my early Windows XP no CD patch days of with PC gaming, period. You can't just pop in a disc and play a game. Like you always have to, even if you had discs, you had to install them and that was a long process and then set up all your settings and blah, blah, blah. And these days you got to download everything. You can't keep the games out of your system. Whereas with a console, little different with modern ones, but like in general, you don't have you objectively don't have all the games in front of you in the same way if you have disc-based games. Like you have to pick a disc and put it in, and something about that reaffirms your decision to do the thing. Whereas when I have Steam, I have 200 games installed. Any of them are available at my fingertips, but the process of choosing each one is less involved, and so I am less invested in it. And that has always been a problem with PC. And I think it's a huge value add for console, and part of what made me go with PS5 is even though I have to install games and whatever, like most of my games I buy physical, so I have that limitation so that I have to pick the game and don't just scroll between a list and hot swap between them and whatever. And it makes it so much easier to commit to a choice. But again, you got to be in the right headspace in life in the first place. Like even going back to the Souls games comment, like if you are dealing with rough stuff like you are right now, Souls games are probably not the good escape for you right now of all games.
Yeah.
And so it's just you gotta lots of feelings are involved, I guess.
You said it well. When you're stressed out, you want to just change everything. And
Yes.
nothing really feels that good. And that's how I've been about the last month. It's been a very like hard summer, like emotionally. And sometimes in those pockets, gaming is like this amazing little escapism hobby. Right now, it's nothing super hitting. And so it's funny, like even at night, if I've got 20 or 30 minutes before bed, I don't have the energy really to play anything. I'm just putting Mythbusters on and watching that
Yes.
for 20 minutes and going to bed. And I am enjoying that a heck of a lot more than like on the 2DS, I was playing Chrono Trigger. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm going to not overthink it. And just like when I was a kid, I had like 30 minutes to 60 minutes of like that free electronics time a day when I was younger.
Yeah.
And so even if like it was 30 minutes of TV or 30 minutes of gaming. So like figure it out. And I don't think I ever cared about any of this stuff. It's only now that we're adults and you're like, oh man, the next day's coming and it's stressful and I got to get all of the enjoyment to recharge my battery. And if I don't, oh my gosh, we put all this crazy pressure.
That pressure has led to this weird realization that I don't know why it took me 30-something years of my life to realize. But I am in the same boat where I do not have the energy to play games most nights.
Yeah.
And it's been super frustrating. I had a night, I think it was Monday, really hard day, really hard week or so because the kiddo had already been out of school sick. Everything's thrown off. Nothing's going the way it's supposed to. And like all I wanted that night, once, because the kiddo went to bed and my wife was feeling too bad to do anything and just went straight to bed, I was like, I got a night to myself. All I wanted to do was play the Helldivers update because I've been so excited for the Halo update. I already bought the stuff. I'm wearing it. I want to go play with it. And I couldn't make myself do it.
Yeah.
And this, I think, ties to the very core even of your and subsequently my break from multiplayer gaming too, in that the realization for me is that video games and consumption of any kind, but the more active it gets, the more this rings true. Video games are not a form of relaxation. They are inherently stimulation. It is a literal source of stimulation of your sight, of your sound, of your feeling as you're playing it. And then you have to do mental gymnastics to get invested in the world and your character and your goals you're trying to accomplish. You have to put a lot of yourself into it. It is a very active thing. And inherently, most games at least, I would argue some session games kind of can be when they get mindless enough, but most games are not going to be a relaxing experience. And I don't think I realized this before because I so heavily, especially as a teenager, relied on video games as like escapism. And escapism is a form of relaxation. Like if stuff, if you're tired of school, you've got relationship drama, stuff's really hard, you dive into games to escape that. That helps you to relax. But when you have a more baseline level and you need to relax from the day to be ready for the next day, a video game kind of takes you in the opposite direction. And that's part of why I've been vegging out with shows instead of playing, because I need to still come down to a relaxed state before I want to play. And then once I do, it's too late anyway and whatever. But like, I think that reliance on a game to be your decompression and your relaxation when it itself is asking so much of you physically or mentally is a big pitfall that so many people fall into.
Yeah, we're getting old and we're tired. That's the summary.
Yeah,
and games are active.
My back hurts and my
TV
hair's falling
is
out.
Passive. I've always felt this way, and like especially if you play something before bed, even if it's the most relaxing of game, it's still decisions and choices. It's still probably more stimulating than just like vegging on a show.
Yeah.
You watch Bob Ross before bed, I guarantee you're ready to close those eyes 5 or 10 minutes in, right? You could play Stardew Valley and say the same thing. Sure, it's very relaxing. It's very chill. It's obviously more chill than playing like Fortnite or Halo 3 ladder or something like that.
Yeah.
But you just got to listen to yourself. And if you're not in the zone or the mood, it's harder as you get older. I will always love this hobby, but I am totally recognizing as I am aging, I value time differently. And I think somebody who's listening to this show in their early or mid-20s is not going to understand that to the same degree, just as like I'm not going to understand somebody who's in their like 40s or whatever, right? Who has a very different set of responsibilities. And we'll get there eventually. But I think there's nothing wrong with like hold your time to a higher standard.
Yeah.
If it's not delivering the fun, this whole show is just boiled down to one thing. Are you enjoying yourself? Are you having a good time? Ask those questions. If you're not, try something else. The end.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we should run to our usual break, and then I am going to, what do the kids say these days? Gas you up, glaze you up. I'm going to talk some good stuff about Mr. BBK Dragoon when we come back.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I do like that phrase, by the way. I didn't know about it, but there's that premium gas. I'm like,
Yeah.
I like that one. That's one of the Zoomer phrases. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to start using that. So we'll see you guys after the break. Like, legitimately, I like that.
So before I say some wonderful things about you, my friend, I just wanted to dive in briefly, stick my toe into the analysis paralysis in real time that I'm having, just to illustrate the example. Okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
I sit next to a wall of video games. I have 1,400 games in my Steam library. Seeing the new Hyrule Warriors, the new Pokemon Pokopia game, Pokopia, I don't know how you're supposed to say it, and the new DLC for the Pokemon ZA game that is definitely only going to run well on the Switch 2 if it runs well there at all.
Yeah.
I'm over here like, well, darn. I want to Switch 2 now.
It happened. I knew it. I told you, it's their stupid software. It's so good sometimes.
And I can't justify. They even have a Virtual Boy coming out. They're putting Virtual Boy Classics on Nintendo Classics and selling a Virtual Boy peripheral for the Switch. What an insane time. And yet I have so many games, including just like you for the Switch 1, that I need to play first. But it is so hard not to fall for that impulse and then have more backlog pressure on my back.
Yes.
And I'm going to be good. I'm going to use that energy to go actually play a game that I own. But it's so hard. And what makes it a little bit easier, and this is going to sound super toxic to say, but I think it's a very healthy thing. When you are trying to break yourself of a behavior or habit, lean into what makes you feel bad about it. And so, as an example, they just put up Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 on the Switch eShop. They are $40 each.
The combo pack, or is there separate?
No, they put the individual ones up there available for pre-order.
Oh my gosh.
$40 each, which means the combo pack is probably going to be $80 or at least $60 as like, here's a value proposition. That is too much. And I don't want to be the person that like goes all super hyper negative about things, but at least on a personal level, I'm going to hold on to that and be like, yeah, I'm not spending that. So let's use that to kind of take the Switch 2 down a notch of hype for myself a little bit here. So I don't jump on the impulse buy to go pick up a Switch 2 for games that aren't even out yet.
Yeah, Galaxy 2 is...
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and similar with like social media or anything. Like if you are trying to break yourself of opening TikTok or Instagram every day, go look at the like general public discover feed and see all the junk and realize like, this is what you're kind of swimming through right now, and lean into how much you don't like it. And you might feel a lot better about getting away from it. Anyway, I just wanted to walk through that in real time because I'm sitting here like twitching and itching like Switch 2? Do I buy Switch 2? They got the Pokemons. They got the Mega Raichu. I want the Mega Raichu. Oh no.
Oh, $70 is the combo. So you save $10 if you buy them both together. I can save everybody like that money, by the way. Spend $50 on eBay, get a Wii, and then buy both of those games, and then just the disc for the same price. Because I just beat Super Mario Galaxy from the 3D All-Stars collection in last month. That was my life is stressful and really hard right now kind of game. And it was super wholesome and lovely. But with, I don't know if it's this way with Switch 2's Joy-Cons, but the Switch 1 Joy-Con, you always have to recenter the cursor because the way the like gyro aiming works, there's no IR bar. You're not pointing. Well, it's not the way that the Wii's bar work.
Right.
Okay. So it's irritating because every level your little cursor is going to drift and move and you're continually recentering it. And I've got this Wii right here with Super Mario Galaxy 2, and it's just way nicer to point the thing at the screen and your muscle memory is like, oh, I'm pointing here. This is where it is. I don't have to constantly recenter. So all that to say, it was fine to play it on a Switch. It's better to play it on the Wii if you're okay with the standard definition. Anyway, moving on.
So you're saying Joy-Con drift applies even in the third dimension?
Yeah, gyro drift. That was well played. And I'm sure, we haven't seen a ton of the reports, but the potentiometer design of the Joy-Con 2 sticks, or the Switch 2 Joy-Con sticks, it's the same, basically. Yeah. So Ugh. But I'm in the same
Anyway.
boat looking at these things. I'm finally like, all right, it's not quite yet there for me because I know Prime 4 is going to be on the original Switch. And so I might, convince myself, hey, just stick there. Also, 450 or $500 for the combo pack. This isn't even an option. So,
Yeah.
but I do want
I'm
one.
sitting here, Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined. I'm pretty sure I have 7 on the PS2. And I'm like, I could just play that. But like, it would be kind of cool to have it on a handheld.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
Anyway, it's time for an appreciation post about Mr. BBK Dragoon. You, sir, are a very special kind of gamer that I honestly envy a little bit. Because you have shown a very high level of skill and enjoyment for so many different genres. Every time you tell your stories about how you just decided to pick up the StarCraft 2 ladder and make your way up to Diamond in college just because, or your time grinding in like Street Fighter and stuff, all while posting videos of getting really freaking good at first-person shooters. I'm over here like, yeah, I did the shooters, but I played Command and Conquer on the PS1 and sucked at that, and then I kind of stumbled through the first Halo Wars just because I felt obligated as a Halo fan, but I could never figure out StarCraft. I played Warcraft 3 mods a lot back in the day. Those were fun, but I was never good at RTS and fighting games. Like I grew up with Tekken and then later picked up Mortal Kombat, but Street Fighter just breaks my brain. The whole quarter stick turning thing just doesn't work for me. I'm more of a like smash the face buttons kind of fighting game. And so seeing that you can take your skill and the like mindsets to learn how to get good at games, the like strategies to like learn the process and get good and improve and train yourself, that is really freaking cool to see you be able to apply that to such different styles of games.
Thanks, dude. I super appreciate that. Thank you. I like learning stuff. And the era that StarCraft 2 happened it is the most magical time in gaming ever. It's on the same pedestal that Halo 3 and Halo 2 online was, because at the time, you could pay to watch GSL, which was the Korean StarCraft League, and it was on super late at night, and I remember paying my money, and the site was it was designed so well. The VOD system was amazing, and I'd stay up late to watch from this super sick broadcast studio some of the highest production quality esport stuff ever made, and to watch literally the sickest StarCraft players in the world battling, and the competition level was insane. And so there was so much energy, and it was so cool to be a part of, and literally it was the only thing keeping me kind of happy during those years in college, because I wasn't super stoked on the major. And it was just really, really fun to learn. And then the fighting game thing, do you remember M. Vito, one of my good buddies and your good friends? Yeah, from the Halo days, he heard me talking about Street Fighter, and he wanted to get into it. And we would just literally link up, and every week on Wednesdays, we would sit and practice against each other for 2 or 3 hours. And that was super fun. I never really got good. Like at Street Fighter 4, I was trash at. 5, I got to like golden. And then in Street Fighter 6 last year, I got to platinum. But I will say they've made it pretty easy to get to platinum. If you look at like the rank distribution, an absolute ton of people are in platinum. But I love that learning process. I don't have the energy anymore, and it kind of bums me out, because I've always had this kind of, all of us, I think, have a competitive drive to some extent, right? And if you're not flexing that muscle, sometimes like my energy comes out in a negative way if I'm not doing something that I can really pour that competitive time and effort into. Yeah. And I'm so tired now. I can't imagine doing any sort of competitive grind again. But thanks, man. And I can say the same thing about you, though. Every single time you upload clips or show me like your FPS gameplay, you're so freaking good at all of these games. And I know you don't put in a ton of time. Like you, from the Halo days onward, have such a fundamental, like solid play style and mechanics. And I've always felt that way, because anytime you'll upload Halo stuff, I'm like, dude, you don't play Infinite like ever. And you're like absolutely crushing in some of these clips, you know? So
That's all I got. I just
Thank
got
you.
shooters. Like, once you develop the game sense for shooters, that like clicks. I was never someone, I used to watch, do you remember the old COD 4 Pro Mod videos?
Yes.
I used to watch people like run up on like Crossfire and like throw grenades at certain corners of the buildings to like and shoot through the walls like in the Counter-Strike stuff. And like
Yeah.
I could never memorize that stuff, but like good game sense I could develop and then translate that through the years. But I just it's shooters. That's it. Like I can't apply it to anything else. And I don't know if I just never had the room to put the time in on it, but like anytime I've tried, it's just like I am getting stomped. Like anytime I've tried to play Smash, I'm just like, this is the greatest embarrassment of my entire life. And I love Smash. It's like a lot of fun, but like
I'm horrible at it too, dude. It's so hard. It's another universe. It's a different fighting game
It
world.
really is.
Do you ever remember Recchi from the earlier Machinima days? He was one of the early PC guys. He would just upload 3 or 4 minute little gameplay clips, and it was always PC. It was always max settings.
Oh yeah. That was when PC seemed like this just like cool mythical platform.
Yeah, and it was always like Fraps, which was such a huge pain to set up and use.
Yes,
and so,
it was a nightmare.
Well, thank you very much for the premium gas. I appreciate it. And it's funny. Do you remember also Sassy or Assassinator?
Yes.
Another Halo friend. He's like the greatest gamer I've ever met. Everybody probably has somebody in their friend group who just like gets good at every game they play. Yeah. And dude, he is on another plane of existence. I would feel like I'm like doing decent in whatever game it is, and he's always like within a week or two of a release, top 1%. And I never could understand how he could do that. But there's like a real skill set, and some people are just masters at learning mechanics and optimizing and getting good.
That's my one buddy I always talk about that was always playing through Metal Gear and stuff. Like he played through Metal Gear. He was always stomping me at Yu-Gi-Oh! And then once we got into Halo, like he always tells this story. And this was when I was not like I had no exposure to multiplayer because I didn't even have Xbox Live yet. But we had Halo 2 pulled up on like a Super Bowl day, and I had my own little like gaming corner. And he had it pulled up and was watching the game. I wasn't super big into the game, so I was just split screen killing him. Got up to like 24 out of 25 on a Slayer, and he picked up the controller and still won. And then he's gone on. He plays Magic. He's played all those like crazy deck builder roguelikes like Slay the Spire and that kind of stuff. He was always the one soloing the raid bosses in Destiny. Like if you have the mind for that, it just feels like you're operating on a whole different wavelength. Like
I would love to ask the audience, if you've made it this far, leave in the comments section of the YouTube video what kind of gamer you are. Are you that competitive, driven person you have to get good? Are you relaxed? Are you casual? Has it changed over the years? I'd be very curious to just get a sense of that.
That's something. Part of that is the reason, like a big contributing factor to me falling out with live service games, because for me, it's so important for me to build up like the muscle memory and the kind of intuition for it that if you start rebalancing everything all the time or like changing what maps we play on, like I don't know this stuff anymore, and it's so disruptive, especially as I have less and less time to know life stuff. Like it becomes impossible for me to keep up. Like I'd rather that's why I still go boot up Halo or older Call of Duties or whatever, because I want that like I'd rather just stay in that familiar feeling. I can appreciate challenge to some degree, but there are people, the gamers like that always want the new challenge, and for me, like no, I want to figure it out and then have it figured out and just stay there.
I think that is a great point. So Apex Legends, I played a lot in season 1 and season 2, and I liked it, but ever since then, if I dip my toe back, I think I booted it up for recording on the budget PC. And so many of the systems and mechanics had changed. I was so turned off, and this has happened many times with live service games, where they evolve the loop so drastically that in order for you to like get up to like similar skill where you were at, like I've always been a silvery goldish Apex player. I've never been good. I just am not down to have to watch a bunch of update videos to learn all the new systems and spend maybe 2 or 3 weeks just getting my face stomped to get back in the loop. And like you just mentioned, if I said Modern Warfare 2 right now, you could just play Modern Warfare 2 on an active lobby online. How fun would that be? You don't have to think, you just chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So The kind of experiences I fell in love with are not the experiences that multiplayer is now. And it's okay. I've accepted that. I moved on, and that's how it is.
Yeah. No, I had the same thing with Apex. I played it super hardcore and was streaming it regularly up until my kid was born. And then for like a couple nights there, we were still competing and streaming. And then obviously I took a pretty big break once the kiddo was born, and I like couldn't play a whole lot. And I came back and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And I just never really went back. And it's worse in games that introduce like new systems. Like I don't want to dunk on it too much because I still love it, but like every time I log into Warframe and there's a new currency and a new like hub and there's like submissions for everything, sometimes I get in and I'm like, okay, I want to figure this out today. This is what I want to play, and log in for a couple hours a day. And it's like, no, to get to the new systems, you have to do all these subquests on this old system, and you have to figure out the old currency. And I'm like, I can't.
It's the greatest downfall of that game is they always introduce a new set of subsystems that they end up just not utilizing or killing. And that's been its life. Like I remember going back for the Fortuna update, and the amount of like new systems and stupid grinds to get your ship, it was like, no. And now if you go back to it, they just sunset it. And it's like, here's your ship. It's like the Arcwing. It's all this stuff. But there's a comment that you put in the show notes, I think, that leads directly into this. I'm going to read it, and you can let me know where you found this. But Sir Obvious says, avoid video games that use extrinsic motivation. A video game should at least mostly rely on intrinsic motivation, meaning that the playing of the game itself is the fun part, not the reward you get for playing the game. If you don't enjoy the gameplay, but you want to earn like loot boxes, you've fallen into the intentionally exploitative system operating within so many games nowadays. And you need to find another game because you're not having fun. It doesn't sound serious, but this kind of thing can make depression way worse if you've already got depression.
Yes. Dude. So this was me with Marvel Rivals, and this was an unfortunate problem because my wife and I were playing Marvel Rivals together. We played a ton of Overwatch together, basically from like a couple months into release until a little before Overwatch 2 dropped. And then we stopped, and we've always kind of missed it. We're like, do we go back and play Team Fortress 2? Because we played that before Overwatch. Do we try Overwatch again? And I was just like, it looks so different now. I just can't, because that's another game that's completely different. And then we picked up Marvel Rivals and played, I don't remember. I have like 300 hours into it. Like, it was stupid. Like, we played every night for like 3 or 4 months through. They only have like 2-week seasons or half seasons, so like it goes really quick. But like through multiple seasons. And it reached the point, like after a certain point, the balance got kind of wonky and the community got super toxic. And I was just kind of done. But my wife still really enjoyed, and she could recognize the problems with it, but like really enjoyed the completionist aspect of doing all the little, like they had so many mini battle passes. Like it was like, here's this one for 10 days. You just need to play 10 types of this match or whatever. And like, the more we had of those to do, the less fun I had because I was only playing a certain way, like certain characters or whatever, for those little battle passes. And I just reached another breaking point where I was just like, I'm done. I can't. I'm done with it. Yeah. It was just, I was coming out of it so miserable. And it was because they put all of their investment for the game into trying to motivate you to play it instead of just making it good. And I mean, it had plenty of good elements, but like, it was so over, like everything you'd complain about loot boxes or battle passes or whatever, like it was tenfold in Marvel Rivals. Like it was way overdone.
I mean, the mobile game, I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure if you've seen TV recently, like every one of these giant celebrities is promoting this stupid mobile game. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
There's like Amy Poehler's doing commercials for it.
Jeez.
I literally am pulling a brain fart, but there's so many like really the American Idol judges, and like I'm just amazed because there's so many people hawking this game, and I'm like, they must be paying these huge amounts of money. But like that whole mobile game system is just Bejeweled or Match 2 or whatever. So
the
like,
Royal Kingdom thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you know the reason most people like get locked into those loops, it's not because Match 2 is like the greatest game ever. It's like explosions and colors and beautiful things. I made my phone, I think on a previous episode, I told you, like, it's pretty black and white. It's very boring. It's very sad.
Yeah.
And if you take away the colors, it's so stupid. But I'm like, I'm just a kid because without the colors, it's not as fun to hop on and play. So do you think, this is a side comment real quick. Do you think when you had your kiddo, it dramatically changed how you value time, which has shifted the way you kind of evaluate what you spend your time
Yes.
on.
Yes, it had a enormous impact on it that I didn't expect. And the worst part is it was delayed because for the first 6 months, maybe even a year, like I was still trying to maintain life as I had it before.
Yeah.
Especially as a baby, he was. I'm not gonna say low maintenance because we had colic for 6 months among other things, but like he's not. He was sleeping a lot of the time, and it wasn't physically involved in many ways and lots of stuff like that. Like it wasn't as disruptive in certain ways. And so I was trying to still work the same way I always did, still play games and watch TV shows. And especially as he's gotten older and has to be more involved in the day-to-day life and not just a sleepy baby, it has completely shifted how I prioritize time and like in many ways. And part of what I talked about earlier about like sometimes at night, like all I can do is watch shows so that I can feel relaxed and I can go to sleep instead of staying up until 2 to play the game that I wanted to play. I just got a deal because I value being like awake and tolerable in the morning instead of grumpy. Like when it was just my wife and I, and like I was just working all day from home and whatever, like it didn't matter if I was extra sleepy the next day, like I could deal with the consequences. But when I'm responsible for a kid and I have to not be a grumpy butt in all of the exchanges for the next day, like I have to prioritize my well-being and my time and my me time to be able to regulate myself and like decompress in ways so I can still handle what comes next.
I love hearing that because there's no regret at all. In fact, it feels like a huge moment of growth. And that's why I'm not worrying anymore as much about like, I probably will never like enjoy gaming the same way that I did in my college years. And I've never actually like really worried about that. I get it. There's phases and seasons of life. I'm kind of excited about opportunities when you are kind of bored, like right now with games for me, because this is a growth moment. This is an opportunity to like try and listen and discover a new part of like myself and honestly how to interact with things in a more healthy way. And we've talked about this a ton. All of the engagement scientists are in our streaming services on the music side, on the video platform side, on the phone apps, the social media stuff. And so it's pretty easy to let the last 10 years go by. And then everybody have this wake up moment right now where I'm like, how did I spend so much time playing stuff or watching stuff or listening to things that I never had this problem in the early 2010s ever. And I don't know where it goes from here, but I think it's totally cool to start recognizing, maybe I wasn't having that much fun. Maybe it's time to like grow and develop and shift and honestly interact with the hobbies that I loved so much a little bit less.
Yeah. So I have two directions I want to go with this. First, I got asked on another podcast last week if I could re-experience a game for the first time, what I would want it to be.
Ooh.
And I decided that that's an impossible question. Like you can't, like in order to answer that, I would also have to recreate the context
You'd have
in
to be
which
that age,
I
right?
experienced the game. And so my answer was, I would love to say that it's when I first got into Pokemon. So Gen 2 into Gen 3, because there was still tons of hype for that. But that involved Pokemania taking over the world, running through my veins, watching the cartoon on Saturday mornings and when I got home from school, rushing to play the Game Boy in the car everywhere I went, collecting the cards and trading them with friends. Like, it was all of that together, experiencing the game in a vacuum again for the first time and losing that to amnesia or something. Like, it would be a massive disappointment. It would be tragic rather than this like breath of fresh air. And so that made me kind of realize I have to focus instead more on how, like, we're certainly in an era where like franchises aren't even that excited. Like, you can't be as excited for the new entry in your favorite franchise anymore anyway. But like, you got to be more excited for the little things that make you happy in gaming. Like right now, we are seeing a resurgence in the pixel art side scroller beat 'em up hack and slash games. We've got the Ninja Gaiden, the Shinobi one. There's a new He-Man one coming. Like, this is a cool gamery game from the 90s and 80s style that I thought was dead, that is suddenly seeing a resurgence. And they're a lot of fun and they're small and they don't ask anything of you. And I can be stoked for that, because it's just cool to have it back and to feel like we're all excited for arcade games again. Or to really appreciate the writing of a game for the first time, or again, like playing through Dragon Age the past couple years, the first one, like I have never been more touched and impacted by the depth and the darkness of writing in a video game. And I played it a little bit, at least when it, was newer. My PC struggled to run it, but like I played it, but like I wouldn't have gotten the writing then. Whereas in an adult, like those things speak to me way more. And so in a way, I kind of am playing it for the first time because I'm experiencing it through a much newer lens. And so in a way, kind of like me going back to the Souls games after finally developing patience for it and knowing when to approach it is kind of like a mini way of playing it for the first time. And that allows me to get that kind of pure enjoyment out of it. But it's not the fresh 14-year-old's mind seeing it for the first time. It's just finding better ways to appreciate it now.
Oh, I love that. That's so smart too, because if I could experience Halo 3 or that, it's an era that I want. Ocarina of Time, right now, like that wouldn't do the same. It needed to be Thanksgiving. I'm at some friend's house. I'm a little kid, and they're playing the Forest Temple upstairs on a tiny CRT, and I had never seen 3D gaming. There was no YouTuber. I don't think I had seen TV commercials or anything. I couldn't believe it, e-posts. And to this day, I still love OOT. I have a fresh 3DS save I've been playing through, and I still view it as like, I think it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest games of all time. But I maybe I've mentioned this on the podcast. I know I've mentioned it on a video. Warren Miller was a really famous ski filmmaker, and he made a yearly ski film for, I don't know, like 60 years. And in places where there's like a ski resort, every fall, especially around this time of the year, the new Warren Miller film comes out and all the ski community goes and sees it at like a small local theater. It's like a ritual all over the place. And his films were iconic. He narrated them, and he always ended it with something like, I'm the mind of a 14-year-old in the body of like a 78-year-old or whatever. And he always maintained like he wants that sense of discovery, curiosity, that joy. He tries to always like not grow up and lose that sense of discovery. And I think this is the line I want to balance, because I am totally living in nostalgia right now. I am 100% watching old G4 reruns on YouTube. I'm watching Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 retrospectives. I played a bunch of the Wii. I'm immersing myself back in that little golden era pocket of gaming. And I can totally tell you, yes, seeing G4 cover E3 from 2012 at every developer, their little segment is just about showing you how freaking fun their game is. They're all live demos. They're not trailers. They're not cinematics. It's a developer being like, this is Lollipop Chainsaw, and you chainsaw through zombies, and we thought this was cool, and look at this. And the focus was on fun. And I'm telling you what, the focus is now more on shareholders and engagement stats. You can't deny it. But I don't want to become that boring, old, crusty, complainy, back in my day person, because there are experiences right now in every hobby, in every facet, in all the mediums that are amazing, that are incredible right now. There may not be the same quantity as there was during that golden era, but if I sit in a little puddle of nostalgia and bitterness, I'm going to miss it. You've said it before, the Andy line from The Office, if I wish I knew these were the good times. Take every single day and try and find something cool, even if you hate the day. I've kind of hated the last month, but I'm trying super hard to look and be open and to just experience and discover new stuff or celebrate things that I have loved without getting bitter.
Yes. And that act of maintaining the mind of your 14-year-old self, like that is just like with everything else we talk about, like trying to recreate, like that is an intentional thing. At the time, it was given to us. At the time, we had limitations, and now we have to recreate limitations. At the time, you had the fresh mind ready to discover new things. Today, you have to maintain it. You have to put the effort in, and it's worth it. It is truly worth it. Like, sure, we can't watch E3 or, the game show, whatever, the Summer Games Fest, and have quite the same feelings and whatever, because it's this big corporate event. But that doesn't mean you can't find ways to recreate your hype for games, or to share it with each other when there is a new thing that is announced that you're excited for. Like this freaking Nintendo Direct was super stacked. Like it's a very exciting thing. It's still presented in the Nintendo kind of corporate direct way, but like you can be super stoked about these games and start diving into stuff if that's what you want to do. And like I said earlier about my brain just farted. Oh no.
Oh, I've got something to say there that I'll add to this. So if it comes back to you, let me know.
Yeah. What I said earlier about recreating the console experience through different ways. You don't have the one box that is this iconic thing that's going to hold all your memories anymore. You have to do something else to preserve your experience and make it meaningful. That applies to everything. Like it just takes more work as you get older and as things change, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Everything worth doing requires some degree of effort.
If you have family or friends close by who you can share gaming with, put the console in the living room or a shared space, sit down on the couch, play through a co-op game, or watch your buddy play through a game. And I think that's a huge portion of a lot of this is split screen was king. And so many PS2 memories are you going to your friend's house and taking turns. And I even feel like with 360, a lot of that was our college years. And so you just were around people who were playing and enjoying and getting that community experience. As we move more and more into this PC rabbit hole and this world of less split screen, all online, everybody's kind of playing alone separately on their own couches. So if you've got that opportunity to share the experience, that's how you bring back a serious portion of that magic. Just as you started the show talking about the, family computer was in the living room.
Yeah.
Having the PlayStation in the living room, and if you got friends nearby, invite them over and even just watch them play through something, right? Even if you're kind of bored. That was the original streaming, ecosystem.
No, that's
was
what I
watching
love.
your
Watching
homie,
my wife. Yeah, that's what I love, watching my wife play through Horizon. Like, sure, I'm not the one playing it, but I'm still experiencing it right alongside her. And like, we're still, that way we both get to play something and we get to enjoy it. Like it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, what is one gaming thing you're super excited for right now, or you are interested in trying in the next few weeks?
That is a good question. I am still excited for the Helldivers update. It is the only multiplayer game I've played all year, and I do enjoy it when I get in with a group. Solo, not a good time, but with some buddies in voice chat, like I could lose an entire day in it. Single player wise, like I said, I think I am committed to whenever I have decided it's fall enough for me to just like kick back and play something. Like I'm gonna play Elden Ring. I think I'm still gonna commit to the PS5 copy I bought, so I'm at least gonna play that on PS5. I may end up switching
it's a good version
to Erdtree on PC later. I'm not sure yet, but I want to at least play that. And I want to see if I would enjoy Night Rain. So I need to see if I can play the game first. Because I want to just jump in on Night Rain, but that's a horrible idea. So I'm at least going to play the game first, and I want to try to enjoy it. And I want to be conscious about, like, I think I'm at the point with the tech videos where, like, I don't entirely need the PS5 in my office anymore. So I'm thinking I maybe take the PS5 to the house, to the living room, swap in its place where the PS4 Pro was. I got to move save files and stuff, so that might be annoying. But do that, and then be conscious about, am I in the right headspace for a challenge tonight? Is that what I want? And have some nights where I just try to play Elden Ring. And if I can't get into it, I bounce and I go play Ghost of Tsushima, or I have a million other single-player games that I'm excited for. But I wanna challenge myself both in establishing the bounds with which and I'm gonna challenge myself and with the game itself, and try to actually get through it this year, or at least get enough that I'm like, yeah, I got it and can be done.
Dig that. I would say pick one platform for Elden Ring, because if you switch to Erdtree on PC, you're going to have to roll a new character. And it doesn't take an immense amount of time, but I mean, you're probably looking at 10 to 15 hours to get to the point where you beat the dude who takes you to the Erdtree land. So
yeah, and I'm already having to do that with Mass Effect, so that's not fun.
Yes. Oh man, I've been feeling the urge to almost start Mass Effect 3. It's been about a year since Mass Effect 2, and I'm kind of curious, but I'm also not quite ready. 2K sent me a key for Borderlands 4. It wasn't on my radar, but I installed it last night. I know people are losing their cookies because the optimization sucks. Oh my gosh, what a surprise. Another really poorly optimized PC launch. It's not like Borderlands 3 was poorly optimized as well. But I will say it was 60 gigabytes, which was so nice because I'm like Helldivers. I want to reinstall that. It's like 120 gigs. I'm like, it takes forever and it fills up my SSD so quickly. But I'm excited to try Borderlands 4. I don't know if I'm going to play a whole lot of it, but that's the thing I'm allowing myself to do. I've been on this kind of wave of feels good to pick a game, play a game, beat a game, and it does. Trust me. But I'm also in this little period right now, kind of just letting me pick up and play whatever sounds kind of good. And
I think that's how you calibrate to figure out what games you want to pick, like to really commit to. Like, I think that's an important step, especially after a big game, after like Expedition 33. Like, you really got to calibrate and figure out what is producing the itch that you want to jump in and like all in, go on.
Yeah,
I did forget to mention, I got, I picked up Gears of War Reloaded on Steam, and then I got sent a key, surprisingly, for PS5. So I am excited to check it out.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
Yeah. I might reject the key because I definitely, if I get PS5 copy, I want the physical just to have it because it's like such a novel thing.
Yeah.
I might give the code to my dad or something because he'll be stoked to play it.
Yeah.
But like, I am stoked to. I haven't played Gears of War in a very long time. I played through 1 through 3 with my dad. I ended up not playing Judgment with him because I was busy with school, and then I've never really played 4 or 5. So
4 is good, dude. I liked 4 a lot.
I am excited to dive back in. I hope they keep bringing them to the new consoles, and I hope we get like a full collection of the first 3 kind of touched up, especially since they still aren't really on PC in the right way. But I have backwards compatibility if nothing else.
And they're very well enhanced, by the way, on the One X. They did some nice stuff on those. So, or the series. I'm sure all the series stuff has those improvements too.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it back in the day. So I'm very excited to kind of go back in. I know everyone's tired of doing the same Marcus and Dom fight over and over because I keep remaking it and whatever. But like, as someone who has been out of touch with it for a little while, like, I'm excited to see the fresh take, and it sounds like it's a way better version than the original Ultimate Edition anyway. So yeah,
it's far-fetched, but if your dad enjoys it and you ever have the time, you guys should split screen it because the original is not that long, or just play it online together because I think it probably has the crossplay stuff. But the co-op is so well built in those games, and it's just, that was so fun back in the day where it was every game had 4-player co-op in mind. Halo did it, the Gears titles had it, and they just, there's something rad about that. It's I want to share things that I'm excited about that don't have to do with gaming, if that's all right, because we're nearing the end of the show, if that's cool. So it's fall. It's the best time of the year. I got sick and I was off the bike for about a month, but I did the coolest high country ride ever the day before I got sick, which is probably why I was tired and got sick. But we're coming into cooler weather and the colors are changing. And so I'm just going to, like, the last 2 years, I've gotten sick in September-ish, and it's always a 3-week bug, and then it gets cold, everything dies. And so we're in September. I've got time. I'm going to go ride. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to declutter. I'm super excited to get rid of stuff. I started this year off like getting rid of old clothes and a ton of YouTube equipment that I'd kept forever, like cords and things. And so I'm excited to remove just like 30% and donate like 30% of my stuff. So the space just feels lighter and breathes a little easier. And then the other thing, I mentioned wanting to play piano a little bit more. I'm going to actually build into the routine, like 30 minutes a day of practice. And a lot of people probably don't know this. You do, but I used to DJ like back in college because there was no real way to play live music. At the time, everything was all like dance music stuff. Nobody was really interested in like rock or that kind of music. So I'm dusting off my old MIDI pads. I've got a copy of Tractor, and I'm just going to start mixing here and there.
Nice.
And enjoying that. So what about you?
I am hoping to go on some hikes now that the leaves are starting to change. I have multiple new cameras on accident, so I am excited to decide which one of those I'm keeping and selling the rest so that I can make up the money I spent.
Are they video or still cameras, by the way?
Still cameras primarily. I've got the new Fujis, so I've got the X106 and the 100 megapixel GFX 100 RF, the big brother to it.
My gosh.
I accidentally ended up with both. I don't want to talk about it, but I am trying to evaluate which one I keep, and I think unfortunately I'm keeping the more expensive one. And then I do have a new cinema camera coming later this fall. Canon released a new one that is like it has the missing features I've been demanding of them for the one I bought in 2022. So I'm probably selling that off and upgrading. So big camera change, which does not happen very often for me at all. I typically use my cameras for a very long time, but I'm stoked to get back into picture taking. I've been carrying it with me. I've built out this like little, what I call a digital minimalist, like everyday carry bag, even though I don't go anywhere every day. So it's a little kind of pointless, but like I keep my camera in it, my little notepad folio with my pocket notebooks. I've got my PSP Go in case I want to game, because I just can't do mobile games anymore.
Can I promo real quick? You have the prettiest looking PSP Go I've ever seen.
Yes.
If you look in the show notes, Epos's gaming channel Lost Saves will be linked there. It's one of your recent videos. It is the coolest looking PSP Go I've ever seen. I didn't even know that one existed.
Yes, it is. It is custom made. There's a guy who was on Reddit like doing custom themes for him, so it's completely like hand painted, custom decals and everything for the 30th anniversary, and it is beautiful. And I never had a PSP Go, so for the longest time I didn't really appreciate it, especially because you can't put the UMDs in there. But dude, sliding this in the bag and then just swapping the pocket that it's in, swapping my phone out for it, and then having it to game, and it's just like full-fledged games. Don't ask anything of me. No internet. Like, it is a great vibe. And so I'm looking forward to just kind of keeping my phone in the bag and losing myself in some notes or picture taking or gaming, and hopefully spending a lot less time sick and stressing out about work, because this year has been a weird year. So I am excited, hopefully, for the next couple months to just like totally disengage and just enjoy life. We got holidays coming up.
Yeah, honestly, I was thinking about this. Put your Christmas list together now, right? If you got friends and family who are asking, this is the time to buy, from what I've heard, before all the price bumps and things happen. So I think I want to try and get on that and buy the family and friends the gifts, hopefully before November gets here.
Yes.
I do want to say a request. You don't have to, but I've been thinking about, what do I want for these holidays? Because, you get some money, you get a gift card, a Visa gift card, an Amazon gift card here and there. And I really want a small form factor modern Digicam. That Fujifilm X106 is gorgeous. That $1,800 one that you're talking about, that form factor is like exactly what I want. So off air, I want to get your recommendations on something, even if it's used. That's in that like $200 to $300 range point. But I would love a photography tutorial video on your main tech channel, because I've been on the PC ecosystem now for 10 years. I was always on Mac when I worked at the TV station. So I understand like Lightroom and the whole Adobe ecosystem workflow, but I would just love to get a crash course about your workflow for photography. How do you get it on the PC? How do you preserve it? And are there options that keep you out of the freaking Adobe subscription hell,
Well, that's awesome to hear, because I've actually been working on some stuff for that.
Yes. Okay.
And I've been inspired by a channel. I've been watching lately to kind of get back to some of the really basics, like coverage of that kind of stuff, and do it in a really concise, like, this is what you need to know as someone who doesn't already have this technical jargon bubbling in your head. And so I'm also hoping to like explain some stuff, mostly probably from the video front, but about like actual camera settings and getting good results from it, on top of trying to get away from Lightroom, as I've been trying to break away from Adobe for way too long, and Photoshop and Lightroom has been what holds me hostage, and the whole workflow, because everyone seems to have something different, but every time I watch everyone else's, I'm like, well, that won't work for me. And so I'm hoping I can share kind of what I've pieced together and the lessons I've learned, because I've definitely made a lot of mistakes over the years with my like file organization and how I keep track of things, but I'm slowly learning, I think, what the best way is to make sure that for someone who doesn't want to just nerd out in their photo library for 8 hours a day, like what it can look like.
Yeah, because
I take like, hold on, let me open Lightroom. You don't want to know. It is like 6 figures, 5 figures. I'm not going to go too far. 5 figures, the number of photos I take every year and have to sort out. And that's not including like thumbnails or random phone pictures that I end up deleting. Like it's gone up every year since my Lightroom catalog, because I'm still transitioning out, starts in 2007 and just continues to scale every year. I take at least like 5,000 to 7,000 a year.
I'm trying to remember. I have a little Sony Cybershot or something like that from 2008, and that was like something I had asked for as a graduation gift, or I spent my money on it. It was probably $200 at the time, and pre-smartphone, of course. I've been shooting photos with that for the last 2 years, and I love it. It's so cool to not have any AI like with our smartphones now. You have to go through hoops to get it to not auto process. It's so just great to have those, but the pain in the butt and the limitations of like the shutter and all that make action shots impossible, and things that are not even actiony, like any sort of motion. It's a pretty worthless camera to utilize. So that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out is I'm over the phone, as many of us have talked about on this show many times, I guess. But what's a cool little $150, $200 camera? Don't need something insane. That's just going to get me taking pictures more often. And what I've always struggled with is, you helped me learn Resolve this year. I've made the full transition on video editing to DaVinci Resolve. I no longer have any reliance on Adobe outside of Photoshop, but I'm pretty convinced that GIMP is going to be the next task that I learn, because all the stuff I do with my thumbnails is pretty bare bones basic stuff. The content aware fill is pretty useful in Photoshop, but maybe GIMP has something similar. But I'm just so ready, like, to say goodbye to that ecosystem, and how do I take photos and organize them effectively without falling back into like Lightroom or something like that?
Yeah.
Because
absolutely,
come on,
that would be fun.
You buy Resolve for $3. Anybody, by the way, listening to this, wanting to know video editing stuff, please get off of Adobe. Do yourself a favor. Download Resolve. It's free. If you want the full version, it's $300. You get it forever. You get updates for free. It is so much better from a timeline performance and a rendering standpoint. I was a holdout. I had to stay on Premiere for nearly 10 years because of my job, and switching to Resolve was one of the best things I could have done. So get off of Adobe if you can.
Yeah. And if, by the way, just as a Band-Aid for now, you are interested in editing photos, Resolve got its start as like Hollywood's color grading tool. So you can actually edit your photos in Resolve and have all the color grading tools you're used to. And it's really powerful in that regard. It's not a smooth workflow because it's not a photo editor, but you can, and it's pretty cool.
That's epic. I should do that. That's the one weakness that I still need to learn is grading within Resolve, because I've graded in
such a rabbit hole.
Final Cut and Lumetri, but I'm so ready to say goodbye to Lumetri. Thanks for listening, everyone. I know this podcast had a total non-gaming turn at the end, but everybody's kind of shared that they like that. So any topic ideas and things you want to hear about us talk through, let us know. Epos, where can people find you and support your work?
Epos Vox, most places. Lost Saves over on YouTube for the gaming stuff. Pretty consistent there.
And thank you for the premium gas. I enjoyed it greatly. The tank has been filled up, and I'm ready for the weekend ahead. You can follow all the podcast places for the show. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. And if there's any places we're not, you want us to syndicate, let me know, and I'll try and figure that out. Thanks as always for listening. I hope you have a great week, and we will see you again in the next episode.
See you.